Hi everyone, the small engine mechanic here. Today we are going to service a Cub Cadet walk-behind mower. First, we need to remove the blower housing cover. This one collected some debris, so we have to clean it off. Now that it's cleaned off, we need to remove the starter. So, using a 10mm socket, remove the 3 nuts on the starter. And the starter will lift right off. Now, we'll lift the blower housing and fuel tank some and move it aside. This valve cover gasket is leaking, which is causing dirt to stick. Disconnect the spark plug and remove the old spark plug. Always inspect the plugs, they can tell you a lot about what's happening with your engine. Remove the air filter cover and air filter. I'm tapping it to see how much dirt and dust will come out. I'm going to try to blow as much of the dirt away as I can. There's a lot of dirt. Using a jack stand, place it under the front of the mower. It will keep the oil from draining when the valve cover is removed. We can remove the 4 screws that hold the valve cover on. See, no oil pouring out. Now, it's time to check the valve clearance. We will start with the intake valve first. We need the intake to go in and then come back out. I'm rotating the engine by the flywheel. Once the intake comes back out, we'll insert the extension. And continue to rotate the engine till the extension gets pushed to the top. Once it stops moving outward, you are good to remove it. Using a 5/1000th feeler gauge. Check the clearance on the intake and exhaust valves. The intake is good. And the exhaust is loose. So, we're going to need to adjust it. Adjusting them is easy, we just need a 14mm wrench. And a 10mm wrench. The 14mm will hold the adjusting nut still. And the 10mm will break the jam nut loose. Now that it is broken free, we can insert the gauge and slowly rotate the adjusting nut till we just feel resistance on the gauge. You don't want it too loose or too tight. Once you get it where you want it, put the 14mm wrench back on the adjusting nut but don't turn it. Then put the 10mm wrench on the jam nut and tighten it down. Make sure you're checking it with the gauge. Now, we're going to need to reuse the old valve cover gasket till the new one comes in. Just hang the cover on and insert the 4 screws. Make sure to hand thread them all. Tighten with a criss-cross pattern. We're going to be replacing this torch plug with the correct BPR5ES NGK plug. Again, very important to always hand thread the spark plug in. Make sure your spark wire is still disconnected. Now, we can reassemble the top half. Place the blower housing back on. Then the starter. And tighten them down. Remember, don't reconnect the spark wire yet. And then the blower housing cover. And we are ready to flip the machine. You always want to lift the mower on the same side as the carburetor. And there we go. Now we are going to remove the blade. Looks in pretty good condition. Now we're going to remove the belt covers to inspect the belts. Remove the 2 bolts. And the cover comes right off. Lots of dirt under the cover. Nope, you're not seeing things. There are 2 belts. This mower is an all-wheel drive. These belts look good. So let's replace the cover. And the retaining bolts. Give them a tightening. And now time to install a new blade. Part number 942-0741 Alpha. Be sure to tighten the bolt. Now, we can connect the spark plug wire. Now the air filter part number 951-15245. And the filter cover. Start the mower till the oil gets warm. I'm using a siphon pump to pull the oil out of the engine. If you don't have an oil pump, you can simply roll the mower on its side, the same way we did for the blade changing. Except you would have the dipstick pulled. No more oil in the engine. Now we're adding 10W30 motor oil. I like to check the level twice. Time to test it out. Sounds good. So, that can only mean one thing.
It looks like another one is good to go.